The first thing many barbers will say when introducing themselves and when talking amongst friends is that I'm an independent barber or I'm a booth renter and I work for myself. I don't have a boss. I work for me. Number one, that's the biggest lie you as a barber could tell yourself or you as a barber could tell anyone else. While it's true you do have more control over whether or not you show up on time or you're here at a certain time and things like that, your clients now are your new bosses. And just like any job that you could have, the client has the right to hire and fire you, and you have the right to hire and fire clients. That's just the reality. You do. You have the right to do either one of those things. And so does the client. No, here is my issue with that statement. For many barbers, that statement shows me that you desire a lack of accountability. For a lot of people, they don't want to be held responsible for their actions. They don't want to be held responsible for what's going on. They don't want to change anything outside of their life or out in their life that may have affected what was going on in their job and within their job performance. So they got into this industry because they felt like the people who they saw in this industry were successful and didn't change who they were. One, I will say that is a terrible misrepresentation. And of what the industry should be. That's a terrible representation. You didn't gather up money and then go into this, rent this building space to take your backyard parties, a house party mentality into a barbershop. It's not the same thing. This is a professional business where people are expected to act and behave as professionals. It is what it is. You guys are working with sharp tools, scissors. You're doing a lot of things, and to go about that in such a negative manner, which I see a lot, to go about that in such a negative manner is just a terrible. It's not a good decision. It's not a good choice. You're going to damage your business, right? And if you act in ways that are less than professional, you're only a few steps away from ruining everything that you worked for. Everything that you work for, you are putting at risk based on the fact that you don't want to change who you are. I'm sorry that at some point in your life you may not have had control of situations, and now you have taken control of that situation. But that doesn't mean that when you now take control of it, you act with no control, compassion, consideration of others, or anything like that. Right? A long time ago, somebody told me, said you treat people how you want to be treated. Very basic concept. It's not complicated. Don't think of it as hard because it's not. If you wanted to be rude, disrespectful, mean, all that, if that's what you want to allow, hey, that's what you want to allow. I do not feel like that it has a place within a barbershop. I just don't. I understand difference in culture, but there's always a level of professionalism no matter what the culture is. Am I saying that you got to be that your business should be like a politician? No, that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying at all. But for anybody who has been around, and gone throughout the country, and some of you may get this, some of you may not. I apologize, but this is the best analogy that I have, right? Church's Chicken and Chick-fil-A both sell chicken. Now, some may argue that Church's Chicken is better chicken than the chicken from Chick-fil-A. But I don't think anybody can argue that overall across the board that Chick-fil-A's customer service and presentation is better. I've seen Church's Chicken in buildings that look condemned. I have never seen a condemned looking Chick-fil-A. And that's not that is not a racial disparity. That's not any of those types of things. But what I'm saying is that Chick-fil-A makes a point for their customer service to be high, right? That's what they're training, because truthfully, you will hear more people talk about their customer service than actually about their food. It is. You're going to hear more. Do they talk about the food? Yes, just like they talk about the food from churches. But you're going to, because people in both sectors will talk about the food, right? But more stories are going to be told about churches and their negative customer service, and more stories are going to be told about Chick-fil-A and their positive customer service. It just doesn't matter. A business with all great intentions. They may have a great product. They may have this. They may have that. They may have all of these things that are great about their product, but terrible customer service. I was just I kid you not. I was just in a barber group earlier today, just reading through, and this big argument broke out over some new starter companies, and it broke out over some new starter companies and the idea of, how do I put this? Oh, yeah. So the companies are basically, here's the deal. They're generally using the same manufacturers. They're kind of piggybacking off of each other's designs. Nothing is really that original for a lot of them. There's elements of each of these companies' designs in this group. So two particular companies were going back and forth, and I'm looking at these companies arguing back. I'm looking at these people defending these other companies, and all they were talking about was the customer service. Now, this is the this is the caveat to the whole customer service thing. Okay, one company in particular, and you could go find the conversation if you want, if you're into that world. If not, then just listen to it. One company in particular, the CEO, who is not a barber, by the way, was literally in a barber group on Facebook saying very, very unprofessional things, very un-CEO like things in this group. And I mean, they're going in, they're talking about other companies, they're doing all of these things and everything like that. Now, I had no idea who it was. I just thought it was someone who was defending this company and their products. You know, people will, just like your favorite team, people will stand behind Clipper brands and everything like that. So they're going in. And I looked it up and I said, man, you're the CEO. And I think for anybody that would ever pay attention to that conversation, you know, it was making a big claim for, you know, customer service. And, you know, he was saying that we have a US based customer service team and we He's just saying all this different stuff. And I was like, okay, I mean, that's cool. That's great. But like, you the boss and you're in this group, which is actually someone else's group. You're in this group just making a mockery of what you're doing. And this conversation that you have posted, that you have created this thread about, is going to be around forever. And somebody's going to remember it. And somebody's going to go back and pull your card based on this conversation, CEO. And it's just, and again, we're talking Clipper brands here, but it's the same thing within the barber shop. If you're not acting in a professional manner, if you're not doing things in a professional manner, there is always a potential to be exploited. Somebody is going to do something that could potentially, like, it's business. You have to understand that, right? And the biggest misconception I think a lot of people have who are used to being employees and who are now independent, who are self-employed, the biggest misconception that I think they have is that what I do outside of the barbershop shouldn't affect what goes on in the barbershop. And that's the biggest lie that can be told, especially if you are, especially if you're in a semi-small town. If you're in a semi-small town, like, you're going to get, like that's going to affect your business. You know, you play professional, in the shop, or you're somewhat professional in the shop, and then you get out in town, and then you're driving road rage, driving people off the road, cussing people out, where you see them cussing them out on Facebook and Instagram, and you got all this. Why would I want to do business? Why would I want to do such a personal business? Or why would I want to receive such a personal service from a person who behaves in that manner? I don't think anybody would want to do that willingly. willingly, I don't think anybody would want to do that. But, you know, again, guys, this just my thoughts, just my words. You can take it for what it is. This is just what I have seen within the industry. It's just what I've seen, and you guys have to understand that. And I'm sure you've seen similar things. For most of you, if you've been around long enough, you've seen it. You've seen the very unprofessional person who's never in a shop, or the unprofessional person who's, well, honestly, typically the most unprofessional people are never at work. Right? Never at work. But they come to work with a bunch of excuses, a bunch of feelings, a bunch of statements. They come to work with just all this just stuff, which typically may come from the outside, but they bring it inside. So now it's now brought into this place, and because the barbershop is a community epicenter, like, now you've brought all your feelings, emotions, and problems and everything in here, and before you know it, it spread. But having already spread from outside, now it's been spread here. But guys, take what you do seriously. Take what you do seriously. I understand for some people, you may have got into a shop and now you're making more money than you have ever made. Oh, and you're doing all of these great things, which is wonderful. That's fine. But take this business seriously. Because your image, your depiction of what a barber is supposed to be could damage someone else's future. Could damage the future barber who might be in elementary school right now, who's like, man, one day I want to be a barber. And he gets there, and then he's like, well, why did this happen? People are creatures of habit. If this is what they expected, think about the stories of your barbers that you had, or the shops, or the various shops that you went into. You're not just an independent barber. You didn't just get rid of your boss. You are now you have changed your situation. You do have opportunities that are much different than what they looked like before. But don't damage them trying to hold on to this negative part of your life. Don't do it. Anyways, guys, my name is Devon Evans. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Band of Barbers podcast. I truly appreciate it. Tonight is episode 109. It's been real. It's been real fun. You guys have a good night. Thanks again.